ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session. Today we will deal with 2-3 questions which have been raised. The first question is embodied consciousness and bodiless consciousness. Now, bodiless consciousness is like open sky, which is spread all over. And embodied consciousness is like a house, which is within the four walls and boundaries. Similarly, the embodied consciousness is within the body. The body is the boundary. It does not have its impact outside, while bodiless consciousness is all pervasive. It's, without any limits, without any pramay. The Sanskrit word pramay is without any measurement, without any limits. It's limitless, asimit. In Mundaka Upanishad, there's an example of two birds. A bird which is bhokta, which is both the birds are sitting on the tree. One is bhokta and other one is the drashta. The bhokta is actually involved in the process and tasting all the pains and pleasure of the body, and drashta is not. So the bodiless consciousness is like drashta, and embodied consciousness is like the bhokta. Now, to understand this, I would like to give example from Bhagavad Gita. In fact, 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita, they explain it very beautifully. The first, we will take in a different order. The first verse, I'll take it, the 8th verse from chapter 15. And rather, 8th verse. Now, it says, in Hindi, I'll read it out. वायु गंध के स्थान से गंध को जैसे ग्रहण कर लेता है, वैसे ही देवादि का स्वामी जीवात्मा भी जिस शरीर का त्याग करता है, उससे इन मन सहित इंद्रियों को ग्रहण करके फिर जिस शरीर को प्राप्त होता है उसमें चला जाता है. So what happens is, at the time of death, the jivatma takes away the subtle part of sense organs, mind and intellect, and goes away. And then it appears in another body. So this is the process in which the rebirth happens. The subtle part of the sense organs, mind and body, BMI, is traveling with the jivatma, is traveling with the, the atma which remains at the time of death, while body will be dissolved into the nature, into the 5 elements. Then it says, let's take the verse number 5 of chapter 14. Hey Arjun, सत्व गुण, रजोगुण और तमोगुण, ये प्रकृति से उत्पन्न हुए तीनों गुण अविनाशी जीवात्मा को शरीर में बांधते हैं. Now this new body which takes is because of these 3 gunas, 3 attributes of nature, satogun, rajogun and tamogun. And those 3 attributes, they provide embodiment to this soul. So this is the process in which the embodied soul comes into being. First, it leaves the previous body, leaves with all the subtle parts of the senses, mind and intellect, and then it comes into a new body, and then it is embodied into the new body because of these 3 attributes of nature. Then what happens? Then let's take verse number 7 of chapter 15. इस देह में, न्यू देह में, इस देह में यह सनातन बीज जीवात्मा मेरा ही अंश है. जीवात्मा इज द पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ द सुप्रीम. और वही इन प्रकृति में स्थित मन और पांचों इंद्रियों को आकर्षण करता है. That this jivatma is attached to this mind and the five sense organs of perception. So this is how the embodied soul operates. And then it further says, this is the verse number 9 of chapter 15, यह जीवात्मा स्रोत, चक्षु और त्वचा को तथा रसना, घ्राण और मन को आश्रय करके, all these five sense organs plus the mind, अर्थात इनके सहारे से विषयों का सेवन करता है. So this is what the embodied soul is, that it is then tasting all the pains and pleasure of this world through the mind and the five sense organs. So this is how the body embodied consciousness operates, while the bodiless consciousness does not come into this kind of embodiment. It is free, it is absolutely not bound by any of the pains and pleasures of life. It is like open sky, without any impact of the four walls of a house. So this is how it is. Now, let's also understand bhog. You see, we have these sense organs. We see with our eyes. So the person who sees is called drashta. When the same person listens, he is called srota. So, depending on the function of the sense organ, the character also changes. Now, bhokta. Bhokta is the one who is not a pure drashta or pure srota, who is taking ras, who is enjoying the pains and pleasure of srota and drashta. If you get into, for example, into a situation where you are enjoying thoroughly, it means you are bhokta, you are enjoying that situation. Similarly, if you get into a situation where you are scared and you are, afraid and you are feeling bad, that is also bhokta. So bhokta is experiencing the pain and pleasure, not a pure observer alone. A pure observer doesn't have to be, scared or getting pleasure out of anything. He will be just, cool, calm, quiet. But bhokta gets involved into the things. And that happens because of mamta. Mamta is the one which gives you pain and pleasure. If you don't have mamta, then there's no pain and pleasure. Like if my pen is lost, because I have mamta with that pen, so I will feel bad. But somebody else's pen is lost, I don't care. It happens, I'm just listening and that's it. So mamta creates bhokta. Or we can say rag and dves. Mamta is basically rag and dves, which leads to rag and dves. You either feel good or you feel bad. And that rag and dves, that duality, that dvait, creates pain and pleasure. And that is what bhokta is all about. So a person could be drashta and bhokta simultaneously, srota and bhokta simultaneously. But if he is a neutral drashta and neutral srota, then he will not be bhokta. So this is how the bhokta is decided. Now we were just talking about tap, because the four things which have been mentioned in Mundaka Upanishad, which can actually lead us to realize our real character, the soul. Those four things are tap, satya, samyak gyan, brahmacharya, and then doing it regularly, that is nitya, regularly, doing it regularly, not intermittently. So tap is the first one, and then comes satya. Now tap is basically, you know, to change certain thing according to your objective. For example, you make an objective that I want to become general manager of this company. Now, in order to do that, that is your objective. In order to do that, you take a course, you attend some training program, you meet with some senior executives and learn how to manage a company. So all that is part of that process of tap. So tap not necessarily mean that you are doing your tapasya only for spiritual knowledge. It can also be directed towards the sansarik or the worldly gains. So the tap, for example, a person wants to quit smoking. Now it's very difficult for him. He takes a resolve. So that is the tap. Somebody gets up very late, 8 o'clock in the morning. He wants to get up at 5 in the morning. Now, making an effort to get up 5 in the morning will be a tap for him. So tap means going against the customary habit of a person and changing it to be better. Now, better, he has to decide whether he is, looking for betterment in the world or betterment in the spiritual knowledge. So tap has both the aspects. Tap can be done for, physical comforts or gaining some, position or power or gaining some status in the society. And tap can also be done for acquiring, spiritual knowledge. So tap is actually could be directed in either way. But tap means you have to go against the customary habit. It is called against the vasana. Vasana means the habits which are located in you. उनका निवास है, वास है. उन habits का आपके अंदर वास है, इसलिए वो वासना कहलाती है. So those habits which are part and parcel of your customary habits or your routine of life, and if you want to change them, then you have to do tap. And that tap changes the vasana, that tap changes the customary habit, the routine which you have. Like somebody is, all the time collecting a lot of money and keeping bank balance. Now he decides that, okay, I will not do this process anymore. So he has to change his habit. And that is tapasya. Similarly, a person who has been telling lie left, right, and center decides that I'll tell the truth now onwards. Now that is tapasya. He has to do that. So this is what tapasya is. Like Tarun, wanted to learn something new from Satguru. So he went and attended the training program. So that is tapasya. So that is what tapasya is all about. And then, of course, we discussed the truth, the samyak gyan, and also, the brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is regulating your life on daily basis in a systematic way, which leads to spiritual knowledge. So these were the four elements which were mentioned earlier. Now, those people who do not do tap, then they are called manman. Manmani karna chahiye. Ye aadmi to manmani karta hai. Means he is not listening to the wisdom. Buddhimani nahi hai usme. Usme manmani hai. So he is following his mind all the time, not his intellectual. Intellectual keeps guiding us in the right direction periodically. But sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't listen. So those who don't listen, they are called manmani. Those who listen, they are called buddhiman. So this is what we need to be. We need to listen to our intellect and the vivek once a while and change our habits accordingly. Now, if you look at some of these words, they also give you an indication. Tap, and if you see patan, patan is downfall. Tap means raising something higher. So it's exactly the opposite, pat and tap. We have heard this name Radha. Now, of course, Radha is associated with Krishna all the time. But if you look at Mahabharata and also Bhagavad Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, now Srimad Bhagavatam is totally dedicated to Lord Krishna. Similarly, Mahabharata is, Lord Krishna is the greatest hero in that entire thing. Of course, Bhishma is one of them, Arjun, Bhishma, and then, of course, Lord Krishna. But Radha is not mentioned in any of those two, not even once. There is no reference to Radha at all in entire Mahabharata, in entire Bhagavad Puran. The word came much later. Maybe in some later Purans it is mentioned, but it is not there in these two principal, writings. But what does it mean? Dhara. Dhara is the opposite of Radha. Dhara means that you are flowing with the water flows in downwards and goes. So that is called dhara. Like a river. River is also flowing like a dhara. And it keeps flowing downwards and it goes to the ocean ultimately. And Radha means going upwards, to raise your consciousness upwards. It's the opposite. So Tap and Pat, similarly, Dhara and Radha. Radha means that you have to raise your consciousness and link yourself to the Supreme. It's also the word, related to Aradhana. Aradhana means to worship the Supreme or to be close to the Supreme. So this word is also having this very wonderful meaning apart from what is understood generally by the people. Similarly, we have this word Mara and Ram. Mara means that you are going towards mortality, you are scared, you're going to die. And Ram means that you become immortal, you are going towards Amrit. Asto ma sadgamay, tamso ma jyotirgamay, mrityor ma amritam gamay. Mrityu se amrit ki taraf le chalo. So this is what Mara and Ram. So some of these words also tell us the direction in which we need to move forward. This Sanskrit vocabulary is very scientific and designed in that way. So I thought we will discuss these briefly today. Now, one more point I want to mention, which has also been raised, is Parprakasit and Swaprakasit. Now, for anything to be seen with our eyes, we need prakash, we need sunlight. Late in the darkness of night, you cannot see it. So if you want to see a tree, if you want to see a building, if you want to see a road, you need light. And that is called parprakash. It has been provided light by some outer object. Or it can also be the requirement of some outer means to realize it. Like if you touch something, even then you need the sense of touch has to come into play. So, Parprakasit is those things which are actually don't have their own illumination. They don't have divyata. It will be used the right word in Sanskrit. They don't have their divyata. Divyata means the object which, or the existence which has its own light. You don't require anything to enlighten it. So Parprakasit is, most of the world is Parprakashit. You need light to understand that. And Swaprakashit is like, for example, even in the deep darkness of night, You do not need light to realize that you exist. Your existence is swaprakashit. It doesn't need a lamp or doesn't need a bulb or the light of the sun. You can feel your existence yourself because that is swaprakashit. And that swaprakashit is called divyata. That is, illumination on its own. That is only one thing which has its own illumination is the consciousness, whether it is in the form of embodied or bodiless. And that is why that is called Divya. And there was a reference in Mundaka Upanishad to Devyan. That Devyan path is the path of Divyata. That is the path which is leading you to self-enlightened, abode, Parampad. Parampad, which is all the time self-enlightened. It doesn't need outside enlightenment. It doesn't need, just in Gita also it has been mentioned that Parampad does not need the light of the sun or the moon or any other object. So this is Swaprakashit and Parprakashit, and all our efforts are ultimately to realize that Divyata which is Swaprakashit, that we feel our own existence without any light, without any electricity, without any sunlight. Similarly, the Divyata can be felt, and that Divyata is the truth, the eternal truth of the existence. So I thought I'll deal with these issues first, and then we will take the first verse of the last part of Mundaka Upanishad. Now, this is the third Mundak and second part. It reads like this in Sanskrit. Savadetat param brahmadham yatra viswam nihitam bhati subhram upaste purusum yeradakama iste sukramedat nirvadanti dhira. Now this is what we call those people who have realized the beauty, Paramam Brahmadham, who have realized the beauty of the supreme self-illuminated consciousness. And those are the things which have been described here. It says, Vah Purus इस परम विशुद्ध ब्रह्म धाम को जान लेता है. कौन पुरुष जान लेता है? The person who has those four qualities which are referred in the previous part are the same: tap, satya, samyak jnana, brahmacharya, and then doing them regularly. That is the fifth condition. Fifth is the condition, four are the qualities. So that person who has those four qualities, वह पुरुष इस परम विशुद्ध ब्रह्म धाम को जान लेता है. He is able to understand that parampad, that self-illuminated destination. He can understand by using those things. जिसमें संपूर्ण जगत स्थित है. Now it is again repeating it, that yatra viswam nihitam. Yatra viswam nihitam means जिसमें संपूर्ण जगत का निवास है, निहित है, उसमें पूरा संसार निहित है. तो उस चीज को वो समझ लेता है. जो भी कोई निष्काम साधक परम पुरुष की उपासना करते हैं, वे बुद्धिमान रजो वीर्यमय इस शरीर को अतिक्रमण कर जाते हैं. Now, this is actually a verse which tells us how to reach the Supreme. One single verse. Akama, that is Niskam Bhav se. You have to follow those four things And then you have to do all that without any expectation, without any, feeling of doership, niskam bhav, akama. पुरुषम उपासते, उस परम पुरुष की उपासना करते हैं. पुरुषम उपासते means that supreme lord whom we worship, whom we, upasana means sitting close. Upanishad is also the same, word, to sit close. To sit close means with mind you are close to him. You don't have to be physically close to him, because we don't know physical existence of the Supreme, because he is everywhere. So wherever you are, mentally, intellectually, with your antakaran, with your inner self, you become close to him. That is called upasana. Upasana is not necessarily, going to a temple and putting the flowers and, roli and akshat and all that. That is not necessarily upasana. You can do that. There's nothing wrong in that. But real upasana is actually to be close to the Supreme with your mind and intellect. Sit close to him all the time. Sit close to him. To that reality which is pervading the entire universe. Viswam nihitam. Yatra viswam nihitam. Which is, the entire universe is oth-proth with him, which is actually full of him. The same thing as Isa Vashyamidam. तो वे धीरा is बुद्धिमान पुरुष, शुक्रम एतत् अतिवर्तन्ति, मतलब रजोगुण को त्याग कर. रजोगुण is what? Sukram is rajogun. Rajogun is the quality of passion. Now, quality of passion takes you to the world. You do, for example, want to become general manager of a company or director of an institution. So your passion to become that passion, like somebody wants to become prime minister of a country. Now that passion leads him to do work and work and work more and more. They have a lot of energy, and that energy is coming from Rajogun. So a successful businessman, a successful politician, a successful social worker, all these people have tremendous amount of Rajogun. But you have to transcend that Rajogun. You have to cross that. You have to go into the Tamogun, and then you have to go into the Satogun and then transcend that also. So this is what it says, that you have to actually transcend those gunas, and then you reach the Supreme. So here are a few things which we should understand. The first thing is that the person should have niskam bhav. There should be no desire of a fruit or a result. That is one. Secondly, he has the desire to know the Supreme, who is pervading the entire universe. That is the second thing. Third thing, that you have to sit close to him. You have to do upasana. You have to, with your mind and intellect, you have to sit close to him. And then you have to transcend all the three gunas and then reach him. So those people who are able to do that, they are called dhira, they are called buddhiman, they are called people who have used their intellectual power and their vivek to understand the reality and to reach the supreme power. So this is what the first mantra of second part of the third Mundak tells us. We can take one more mantra, mantra number 2. Kamaniya kamyate manyamane se kamabhijaryate tatra tatra. The meaning of this is, जो भोगों को आदर करने वाला मनुष्य, भोगों को आदर करने वाला मनुष्य जो कामना करता है, कामान ये कामयते मन्य माने, जो कामना करता है वह उन कामनाओं के कारण उन उन स्थानों पर उत्पन्न होता है. नाउ दिस इज वेरी क्लियर हियर. से काम बीर्जार्यते तत्र तत्र, that he is born in those places because of those desires. So it is very clear that those people who are having desires and endless desires, they will not be able to rise from the cycle of birth and death, because they will be born and reborn in those places where they want to fulfill their desires. कामान ये कामयते मन्य माने, जो मनुष्य कामों की इच्छा करता है, बार बार उनको जन्म देता है, उनको आदर देता है, उनको सम्मान देता है, वह मनुष्य कामार भी जायते तत्र तत्र, he is born there again and again. So this mantra tells us that we have to ultimately abandon all the desires. The only desire which should remain is to become one with the Supreme, to realize the inner soul which is located in the heart. We have seen that Hridaya, the Guyyam, that located in the center of our heart, that Atma we have to realize. So this is what this, the first part of this mantra is telling us. परंतु जो पूर्ण काम हो चुका है, उस विशुद्ध अंतःकरण वाले पुरुष की संपूर्ण कामनाएं यही सर्वथा विलीन हो जाती हैं. So here पर्याप्त कामस्य कृतात्मनस्त्वी हैव सर्वे प्रविलीनयन्ति कामा. जो मनुष्य अपनी कामनाओं को खत्म कर देता है, जला देता है, खत्म कर देता है, वो मनुष्य परमात्मा को प्राप्त हो जाता है. उसकी कामनाएं या तो पूर्ण हो या उन कामनाओं को खत्म कर दे, वही मनुष्य परमात्मा को प्राप्त होता है. तो ये सेकंड mantra is very, very useful. If we are able to transcend our desires, if we either fulfill and satisfied with the desires, or we transcend them, then we are able to reach the Supreme. Otherwise, we will keep rolling in this world again and again in the cycle of death and birth, as explained in the chapter 15, verse 7, 8, 9 of Bhagavad Gita, and also in chapter 14, where the three attributes of nature have been described. So this is the process of embodied soul. This is the process how we can transcend the embodied soul and become one with the Supreme. So I will, stop here. If we have any question, we can discuss and we can move forward. And I think next Saturday, because it's very close to the Deepavali day, we will skip our session and thereafter we will take our sessions regularly. Thank you.